Kumeshnee West, Executive Education Director at the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business, speaks to Godfrey Mutizwa, Editor-in-Chief of CNBC Africa.
There is no question that COVID-19 is creating a new economy with requirements and personnel different from the past. In my next interview, we are going to be exploring the new leadership that is required in what many are calling the knowledge economy. Let me welcome my guest. Her name is Kumeshnee West. She's Executive Education Director at the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business. Kumeshnee, thank you for your time. I think let's begin right at the outset and define what this knowledge economy is, the key components of it.
Absolutely. So the distinctive features of a knowledge-intensive economy is based on advanced economies towards where there's a greater dependence on knowledge, on information, and high skills. And there's an increasing need for ready access to all of these by business and public sectors. Now, you referred to the impact of COVID-19 on business globally. And what I would think of also as a double disruption that's come at us, all businesses, all sectors. And that is why there's an increased need and intensification of knowledge in every sector. And this knowledge is to build towards organizations that are transforming their labor processes. There's a changing nature of workforce due to these various changes of technology that's coming our way and disruptions that COVID-19 has actually presented us. So the idea behind this intensive knowledge economy is that it largely impacts on how we behave and how we innovate and how do we create space for innovation. But you cannot have innovation if you continue to think in the ways that you've done in the past, and we continue to lead in the ways that we have in the past.
Yeah, and therefore you need a new type of leadership. And you are suggesting that that type of leadership that we require ought to be innovative. Let's break that down. What does it require?
Innovative leadership, or transformational leadership, as I'd like to call it, is really important for this time that we find ourselves in, where there's an increased need for knowledge, an increased need for upskilling our staff. And this kind of leadership creates an orientation to inspiring, to encouraging, and to motivate employees to have an innovative mindset, a growth mindset, a mindset where we can create change that will help and grow and shape the future of organizations. And that's what innovative leadership is. It's about creating organizations where you can actually move towards a culture of continuous development, and what we like to call in business schools as lifelong learning, because lifelong learning is about needing to upgrade skills at every stage of your leadership journey so that one can be relevant and one can take the organization further into the future and make it more sustainable.
Yeah.
And that's what transformational leadership does, essentially.
Yeah, I feel like I'm back at school here and I'm getting key learnings that I ought to stuff into my head and make sure that I never forget them. But how do you create that environment that enables the work that the innovative leader is doing?
So environments are where you can grow talent. Environments are where you can grow creative thinkers, innovative thinkers, and where you can actually test. So firstly, an innovative leader needs to have a vision for what they want to do in their environment, and then create a very safe environment so that the employees can feel empowered to test new ideas, to feel like they can trust their leader to have their back when they are rapidly prototyping ideas.
Yeah.
And there's a space to test, to play, to try out new things, fail fast, fail forward. I'm sure you've heard of this before. Creating safe environments to do that. And obviously helping employees to gain the right skill sets. So the critical, thinking skill set, the problem solving skill sets, that's so important to be able to move into this knowledge intensive economy.
Yeah, I actually wanted to say to you, what you are talking about is challenges that I face on a day-to-day basis. How do I allow my staff to be independent and be able to execute without being a micromanager?
I think innovative leaders know that, firstly, they do not have all the answers. They are very clear about what their knowledge set is, where their limitations are, and how important it is for diverse thinking to create newness, to create innovations, to create new thinking. So if you are a micromanager, you stifle the thinking of your employees. You want to be able to make sure that your employees know what your vision is for the business.
Yeah.
You need to be able to communicate that clearly. And then you say to them, here, please go and do what you need to do to create this new way of working for us as an organization. So you want to make sure that you can hold the bigger picture for them.
Yeah.
You want to be able to hold that space and then let them operate in that space so that they can feel like you've got their back and they can trust you to have their back.
You touched a word that is becoming a buzzword and indeed has been for a few years, diversity. But
yes.
You're suggesting that we ought to think beyond just diversity. We actually ought to specify and say gender diversity. I think I can sort of understand what you're saying, but I'm also saying at the same time, how do you grow that without seemingly imposing it?
Let's start from what the research says.
Yes.
I think we can always be guided from that because research has proven over and over that the key way to drive an innovative culture is through building diverse leadership teams. So diversity in different people, from different cultures, from different backgrounds, therein lies that diversity of thinking, diversity of skill set. But when you have more women in a leadership position or leading the organization, what women bring with us is that we are inherently better at encouraging innovation through our feminine leadership styles. And what is this? This is, we create more collaborative environments. We are able to be more trusting. We are able to share more knowledge to a greater extent. I think at the end of the day, research has shown that when you have women in your leadership teams, the growth of a business is far greater when you don't have the diversity on the team.
Yeah.
Women are able to be more empathetic. And I've been challenged on this several times where women in leadership positions have said to me, not all women are empathetic. And that is true. But I think for the most part, women have that feminine leadership style that generally brings with it greater communication, greater openness, creating a trusting environment, and the collaboration is where it's at, which really talks to being an innovative and transformational leader.
Yeah, you're reminding me of that song. I can't remember who sang it. Women hold up half the sky, and therefore, if they do at a minimum, we ought to have half them in leadership positions. The third dimension that I wanted us to explore is the importance of leadership development. What does this bring?
Here's an interesting thought for you. And recently, I read this in the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report. And it states that by 2025, 50% of all employees will need reskilling. And this is because we have to adopt the new technologies that keep coming at us. So that's 50% of the world, employees that has to be reskilled. So now more than ever, and we've been talking about this, Godfrey, for years. I've been talking about how, with the fourth industrial revolution, how important it is for us to build teams that have the right skill set, that have the right leadership skills to take the organization into the new frontier. But let's just be honest, the new frontier is here. We are living it. We are having to move really rapidly right now to keep up with what's happening around us. So developing skills for individuals as well as your organization and for leaders, and then looking at how your learning culture is set for your organization is super important at this point. It's important for organizations to have an ambitious and stretch learning and development strategy in place. It's important that the learning strategy is linked directly to the strategy of the business outcomes, because therein lies how you can align your skills that you are developing for your organization to where you see yourself in the future. And working with many corporates, I'm seeing this more and more often, where our clients are saying to us, we want to upskill our leaders for the future. We want to build leaders that show great empathy, that show great ability to think abstractly, that can have a growth mindset, and that can lead with passion, with authenticity, and lead with vision. And you can create leaders like that.
Yep.
But you have to be ready to be able to invest in upskilling your leaders so that they have new ways of thinking. And we can equip them with tools to help them to be agile, engaged, and adapt. And that, I can't emphasize that anymore. I think COVID has really, really given us a taste of what needs to happen in every organization when it comes to being able to be agile, not just in our operations, but in the way we think about how we lead and how we respond to customer needs.
Kumeshnee, I'm going to start by putting this on my wall, and I'm going to be learning this every day. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.